Sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is common in plants and animals, which involves the union of male and female sex cells, gametes. These two male and female gametes are fused together, forming the zygote. The process of formation of zygote is called fertilization. This zygote ultimately develops into a new individual. Sexual reproduction in plants. In plants, flowers are the reproductive organs. Androecium represents the male sex and gynoecium represents the female sex organ. In the flower, calyx and corolla are non-reproductive parts. Each unit of androecium is called stamen. Stamen consists of filament and anther. Anther contains a powdery substance called pollen grains, which produce male gametes. Each unit of gynoecium is called carpel or pistil. It consists of an enlarged basal part called the ovary, hairy apex, the stigma, and the portion between the ovary and stigma is called style, which is a tube-like structure. The ovary contains many ovules which after fertilization form seeds. In the ovules, egg cell or female gamete is formed. In fertilization, male gamete unites with the female gamete. The resulting product is the zygote, which after several divisions produces embryo and finally a new plant is developed. Activity. Objective: study the parts of a flower. You all know that a flowering plant has two parts. Vegetative part consists of root, stem and leaves, and reproductive part consists of flowers. Materials required: flower of China rose, a needle, a forceps, a sheet of paper. Method: observe red-colored China rose flower which has a stalk called pedicel. With the help of forceps, pluck the outermost roll of flower consisting of 5 green-colored leaf structures called sepals, collectively called calyx. Separate the second roll consisting of 5 red-colored petals, collectively called corolla. The third roll of flower is the male reproductive part of the plant called the androecium, and each unit of it is called stamen. A stamen consists of anther, filament and connective. Anther is the fertile part, which bears yellow powdery particles called pollen grains. The innermost roll of the flower is the female reproductive part, consists of the carpels and pistil. The basal swollen part is called ovary, which bears one or few round structures called ovules. The upper part of the ovary joins with a short tube-like structure called style. The uppermost part of the style is the stigma. Take help of your biology teacher. Pollination. The transfer of pollen grains from the male reproductive organ to the female reproductive organ of the same flower or another flower is called pollination. It is of two types. 1. Self-pollination. When pollen grains produced from the anther reach the stigma of the same flower or another flower of the same plant. 2. Cross-pollination. When pollen grains of one plant are transferred to the stigma of another plant, it is called cross-pollination. In cross-pollination, the pollen grains are transferred to the stigma of another flower through various agencies. These agencies may be wind, insects, water, or animals. In the gardens, you might have observed insects like butterflies and bees sitting on the flower. They are attracted by the flower to collect nectar for honey. When these insects sit on the flower, the pollen grains stick on their wings or limbs. When such pollen-loaded insects reach the other flower, their pollen grains fall on the stigma and pollination takes place. Artificial pollination. When the process of pollination is helped by human beings or by some other techniques, it is called artificial pollination. Emasculation is the removal of anthers or male reproductive part from the flowers of bisexual plant before maturity. Emasculation is a necessary process before artificial pollination is performed in a bisexual flower. The advantages of artificial pollination are to increase the yield, to develop seeds and fruits of better quality, to develop disease-free varieties, to develop early or late maturing varieties. Fertilization. When the pollen grains reach to the stigma of the gynoecium through self or cross-pollination, they develop male gametophyte in which male gametes are formed. In the ovary of the gynoecium, ovules develop and form female gametophyte. Egg cell is formed inside the female gametophyte, which represents the female gamete. After formation of male and female gamete, they both are fused to form a zygote. This process is called fertilization. Thus, fertilization involves the fusion of male and female gamete of egg cell. Pollen grains germinate to produce pollen tubes, which grow through style and reach the ovule, where they discharge their sperms or male gametes in the female gametophyte. Thus, male and female gamete fuse together. Seed formation. After fertilization, number of changes occur in the flower, namely, calyx, corolla wither away in most of the cases. Stamen also dries and fall off. Several changes occur in the ovary after fertilization, and there is formation of fruits and seeds. Ovary finally develops into the fruits. The zygote is converted into an embryo. The fertilized ovule is developed in a seed.